Rain lashed down on the city streets, creating a symphony of relentless droplets against the pavement. The city, usually bustling with life, seemed to shrink under the weight of the storm. The wind howled between the buildings, its eerie whistle echoing through the empty streets. It was as if the city itself was crying out in anguish. Rubbish swirled in the gutters, caught in the chaotic dance of the storm. The streets were a mess, reflecting the turmoil of the night. It was a night for staying indoors, for seeking warmth and comfort. Families huddled together, safe from the storm's fury. But Max had no indoors. He was a stray, a lost soul in the concrete jungle, with no place to call home. He wandered the streets, his fur soaked and matted. Each step was a struggle, each breath a reminder of his solitude. He huddled beneath a leaking fire escape, shivering. The cold seeped into his bones and he longed for a warmth he could barely remember. The storm seemed to mirror the turmoil inside him. Each thunderclap echoed his inner cries, each lightning flash illuminated his despair. He was alone, hungry, and afraid. The city, with all its lights and noise, offered no solace, no refuge. Max had known better days, days when he had a name, a family, a place where he belonged. He vaguely remembered the warmth of a home, the comfort of a human touch. Those memories were like distant stars, faint but still present. But those memories were fading, replaced by the harsh realities of survival on the streets. Each day was a battle, each night a test of endurance. Every day was a struggle for food, for shelter, for a moment of peace. The city was unforgiving, and Max had to be resilient. The storm raged on, and Max felt a familiar despair wash over him. It was a feeling he had come to know all too well. He was just one small dog, lost in a big, indifferent city. The world moved on, oblivious to his plight. Would this night be his last? The uncertainty gnawed at him, a constant companion in his lonely journey. He whimpered softly, the sound lost in the wind and rain. His cries were drowned out by the storm's relentless fury. He closed his eyes, wishing for a miracle. In the midst of the storm, he held on to a sliver of hope, a dream of a better tomorrow. Emma hurried through the rain, her coat pulled tight against the chill. She hated nights like this, nights that made her think of all the lost and lonely souls out there. She ducked into her favorite cafe, seeking refuge from the storm. As she waited for her order, her gaze fell on a huddled shape across the street. A dog, she realized, its fur plastered to its body by the rain. Even from a distance, she could see the fear in its eyes. Something tugged at Emma's heart. She couldn't bear the thought of the dog out there alone on such a night. She paid for her drink, her decision made. She would see if she could help. Emma approached cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. She had seen many stray dogs before, but this one seemed particularly frightened and vulnerable. The rain poured down, soaking her clothes, but she didn't care. Her only focus was on the trembling creature before her. Speaking in soft, soothing tones, she tried to bridge the gap between them. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you," she murmured, her voice barely audible over the sound of the rain. "Hey there, boy," she said gently, hoping to convey warmth and safety through her words. She knew that trust had to be earned, especially with a dog that had likely faced so much hardship. "It's all right, I won't hurt you," she continued, her tone unwavering. She could see the fear in his eyes, but she also saw a glimmer of hope, a tiny spark that maybe, just maybe, he wanted to believe her. The dog cowered further back, his tail tucked between his legs, his eyes wide with fear. He had probably been through so much, and Emma's heart ached for him. She knew she had to be patient. Emma knew better than to rush him. She had to let him come to her on his own terms. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her own nerves. She sat down on the wet pavement, maintaining a safe distance. The cold seeped through her clothes, but she didn't mind. She wanted to show him that she was there for him, no matter what. She spoke softly, her voice a calming presence in the storm. "You're safe now," she whispered, hoping her words would reach him through the barrier of his fear. Slowly, she reached into her bag and pulled out a biscuit. She knew food could be a powerful motivator, especially for a dog that might not have eaten in days. "Here you go, boy," she offered, holding the biscuit out to him. She hoped the gesture would show him that she meant no harm. "It's okay to be hungry," she said, understanding that his basic needs had to be met before he could even think about trusting her. Max eyed the biscuit warily. Hunger warred with fear. He wanted to trust her, but his past experiences made him hesitant. He hadn't eaten properly in days, his ribs were visible and his fur was matted and dirty. Emma's heart broke for him. Timidly he inched forward, snatched the biscuit and retreated back to his shelter. Emma smiled, feeling a surge of hope. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. She knew that building trust would take time, but this was a promising start. She knew she couldn't leave him out here. The weather was getting worse and he needed a safe place to stay. "Come on, boy," she coaxed, rising to her feet. "Let's get you out of this weather." She extended her hand, hoping he would follow. To her surprise, he didn't resist. He followed her hesitantly, his head down, his tail still tucked. It was as if he knew she was his best chance at a better life. He followed her hesitantly, his head down, his tail still tucked. Emma felt a mix of emotions, relief, hope, and a deep sense of responsibility. He followed her hesitantly, his head down, his tail still tucked. She knew this was just the beginning of their journey together. Emma led him towards her car, her heart swelling with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. She didn't know what the future held, but she was determined to give him a chance. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew she couldn't leave him behind. Together they would face whatever came next. The first few days were a delicate dance of patience and understanding. Emma knew that building trust with Max would not be an overnight process. It required a gentle approach, a lot of time, and an abundance of love. She was prepared to give him all the time he needed to feel safe and secure in his new home. Max was wary, his body bearing the scars of his time on the streets. Each scar told a story of survival, of battles fought and won, but also of the deep fear and mistrust that had taken root in his heart. He flinched at sudden movements, startled by loud noises. The world had not been kind to him, and every unexpected sound or motion was a reminder of the dangers he had faced. The comfort of Emma's home was unfamiliar, unsettling. The soft cushions, the warm blankets, and the quiet corners were all new to him. He was used to the harsh realities of the streets, not the gentle comforts of a loving home. Emma moved slowly, spoke softly, and offered reassurance with every gentle touch. She knew that her actions spoke louder than words, and she made sure that every interaction was filled with kindness and patience. She provided him with food, water, and a warm bed. These basic necessities were the first steps in showing Max that he was cared for, that he was no longer alone in his struggle for survival. Most importantly, she offered him something he had almost forgotten: kindness. This simple yet profound gesture was the key to unlocking the door to his heart. She spent hours sitting with him, reading aloud, her voice a soothing balm to his anxieties. The stories she read were not just for entertainment, they were a way to build a bridge of trust between them. She took him on short walks, letting him set the pace, allowing him to explore his new surroundings at his own speed. These walks were more than just exercise, they were opportunities for Max to learn that the world could be a safe place. It was a slow process, but Emma was determined. She knew that trust could not be rushed, and she was willing to wait as long as it took for Max to feel secure. She could see the fear in his eyes, but she could also see a glimmer of hope. That tiny spark was all she needed to keep going, to keep showing him that he was safe. He was starting to understand that he was safe now, that he was loved. The journey was far from over, but with each passing day, Max was learning to trust again, to believe in the goodness of the world. Section 5. The Power of Patience. Days turned into weeks. The fear in Max's eyes began to recede, replaced by a cautious curiosity. He started to wag his tail tentatively when Emma entered the room. He would nudge her hand with his nose, seeking affection. There were setbacks, of course. Moments when the fear would resurface, when the shadows of the past would cloud his eyes. But Emma remained patient. She understood that trust, like love, takes time to blossom. She continued to shower him with love and care, creating a safe and predictable environment where he could heal. She celebrated every small victory: the first time he wagged his tail with abandon, the first time he snuggled into her lap, the first time he licked away her tears. Section 6. Max's Transformation. Gradually, Max began to blossom. The skittish, fearful dog who had cowered from her touch was gone. In his place was a playful, affectionate companion. His tail wagged constantly, a furry metronome keeping time with his happiness. He discovered the simple joys of squeaky toys and long walks in the park. He learned to play fetch, his whole body wriggling with delight as he chased after the ball. He loved to cuddle on the sofa with Emma, his head resting contentedly on her lap as they watched movies together. His transformation was nothing short of remarkable. He had gone from a shadow of a dog, lost and alone, to a vibrant, loving companion. He had found his forever home, And in doing so, he had filled a void in Emma's life that she hadn't even known existed. Section 7. A shared journey. Emma and Max's journey was a testament to the transformative power of love and compassion. In rescuing Max, Emma had found a loyal and loving companion, and Max in turn, had found a safe haven and a second chance at happiness. Their bond deepened with each passing day. They understood each other's moods, anticipated each other's needs. They shared a love for long walks, cozy evenings by the fire, and the simple joy of each other's company. Max's presence enriched Emma's life in countless ways. He taught her the true meaning of unconditional love, the importance of patience and understanding. He reminded her of the simple joys in life, a warm sunny day, the feel of soft fur beneath her hand, the sound of a happy bark. Section 8. A call to action. Max's story is not unique. There are countless animals in shelters across the world, all longing for a second chance at happiness. They may not all have dramatic rescue stories, but they all have one thing in common, a capacity for love and loyalty that is truly boundless. By opening your heart and your home to a rescue animal, you are not only giving them a second chance at life, but you are also enriching your own life in ways you never thought possible. You are making a difference, one paw print at a time. If you are unable to adopt, there are still many ways you can help. Volunteer at your local shelter, donate supplies, or simply spread the word about the importance of adoption. Every little bit helps. Section 9. Finding forever homes. The rain had stopped, the storm had passed. Max, nestled comfortably at Emma's feet, looked out the window at the world outside. It was a world he no longer feared, a world that was now filled with love and warmth. He was a testament to the resilience of the animal spirit, the transformative power of compassion. His story was a reminder that every living creature deserves a safe haven, a loving home, a chance at happiness. And sometimes the smallest act of kindness can have the biggest impact, changing not just one life, but two.